Next, we're going to move on to the Lions wrap-up, giving you a quick roundup of everything that's happened today. And joining me is Susie Walker, VP of Awards and Insights at Lions, to help us pull out the key stories from today. Welcome, Susie. A lot has happened today, but we're going to pick out 10 things, aren't we? Starting with number 10.
Yes, so number 10, our first story is around creative data, and it's about Rothco in Ireland. Today, they won their second ever Grand Prix, but it's actually more exciting than that because it's the second ever Grand Prix for Ireland, and it's say-lists for Warner Music. Let's have a look.
1 in 12 young people have some form of speech impediment. The best way of overcoming one is through repetition. We created an algorithm to analyze popular music for patterns of repetition that are helpful for speech therapy. Songs where particular sounds occur in particular patterns that are helpful for overcoming an impediment. A collaboration by Warner Music and Apple Music.
That's been getting a lot of attention, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah, tons. And actually, we're going to stay on creative data. So going over to our content on demand, we've got a keynote from Lad Bible with their Director of Intelligence, Data and Planning, and she's talking really passionately about how data inspires creativity. Let's have a look.
In 2021, we create more data than ever before, and we seek newer, better, faster ways to make sense of it. However, the challenge still remains the same. If people don't know how to make sense of the data and how to share the insights with their creative teams effectively, it is inevitable that creatives can become bogged down by data. Without knowing how to harness data to aid creative thinking, data will kill creativity. So how do we prevent this from happening and start applying data better? The answer is simple. How humans view data needs to change.
What's next?
So next we've got a story around the marriage of strategy, innovation and creativity, and it's another keynote, but this time Goodby, Silverstein and Partners and Free-to-Lay, and they talk about how GSP's in-house innovation lab is like a driving force in their creative success. And today they won the Grand Prix in creative strategy for their Cheetos. We've been talking a lot about that, but it's their first Grand Prix for more than 20 years, so huge congratulations to them. Let's take a look at the keynote.
An agency like GS&P that has in-house production and innovation like GS&P Labs enables you to build things like Cheetos Vision and helped us align with Sway before anybody even knew about this technology so we could create the Cool Ranch dance.
Our innovation lab within GSP is critical to all the work that we do. Their sole purpose is to educate the creative department on the latest technologies, so when you get an assignment, you have an arsenal of tools to choose from.
Okay, what do we have next? I think we're in number 7, aren't we?
Yes, I think so. It's hard to keep track, isn't it? But this is Burger King and Stevenage Challenge by David, the agency. And this piece of work won today, not one, but 2 Grand Prix in direct and social and influencer. And in their keynote, Burger King talk about how success for them is when they're part of popular culture. So let's have a look.
You haven't heard of Stevenage Football Club, right? Neither had we. But we realized that even though they're at the bottom of England's 4th division, they were going to appear in the same video game that all the expensive players were going to be in. And that's when, almost 2 years ago, we decided to sponsor Stevenage. Because if we put our logo on their real shirt, we would definitely have our logo in the game. Introducing the Stevenage Challenge. For every goal they shared on Twitter, we gave them rewards. Just like that. Our small team in real life turned into the biggest team online.
Great idea. Number 6.
So our next story takes us to Hong Kong, and we're going to hear from the direct jury president, Reid Collins, who awarded that Grand Prix, and he's going to talk about why they did. Let's have a look.
Basically, everybody thought this, stood above the rest of the work as kind of the benchmark for direct, because it was speaking to a very specific audience. It understood the audience. It was using, as I I was referring to earlier about gaming platforms, which I think is an untapped resource. Burger King sponsoring pretty affordably a team in England and using online community to create the team of whatever those players, some of the greatest players in the world. So I thought it was incredibly cheeky, as Burger King is renowned to be. So that's why I think it is really a great kind of progression of creativity with this brand.
Halfway through our highlights now. Yep. What's at number 5?
So this is a lovely story. So Pakistan have won their first ever Grand Prix. You saw it earlier, and this was in Media Lions, and it's called Naming the Invisible for Telenor by Ogilvy, Pakistan. And it's an innovation that has helped already 1.2 million children, so hugely impressive. Let's have a look.
More than 60 million unregistered children in Pakistan. It means a lifetime without access to medical care, social security, public schooling, or protection from underage marriage and child labor. We worked with Telenor and developed the Digital Birth Registration Initiative. The simple Android-based application receives and reports birth counts by authorized community leaders, health workers, and medical staff, providing them the most basic of human rights. A future.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah.
4.
So we're going over to the PR lines, and as you know, we're sharing the key trends in the data studio. So let's just hear from Tanya. Roll VT.
And here's something to be proud about. We saw a lot of work around national pride. It appeared in around 20% of the work, including the silver-winning work Labor Day On by Droga 5 New York for Red Wing shoes.
Number 3.
So this is actually the same story as before, and we know localism is a growing trend. It's a really successful tactic for brands, and this is just another example of what Tanya was talking about, and it's called Make It Canadian.
American beer brands spend boatloads of money on advertising in Canada, and it turns out that spending money works. So, as the beer with the country's name on it, Molson Canadian decided it was time to bring some collective pride back to this beer-loving nation. Introducing the most Canadian beer case ever. Our beer and our competitors' beer from all across Canada, sold in the same case.
From Pakistan to Canada, where next for number 2?
Well, we're actually going to go over to our virtual experience in spatial web, and this was a meetup today with more than 50 people with the much-loved Josie Paul, who's chairman of BBDO India, and he was talking about emotional data. Let's have a look.
The world is looking for greater understanding and acceptance of their difference. We just happen to be sitting around and we just trying to share stuff that will make us feel better about ourselves at that point and world that go forward. But great if you could find a way to multiply this kind of emotional basis of research.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a quest, right? And it's not easy, but I like the way you put it. It's all about letting your human self connect with other people.
There's so much love for Josie Paul in the industry, isn't there? And here at Cannes Lions.
We do. We love him. But our next story is about social change and brands really stepping up for society. And this is the other Media Lions Grand Prix. So it's Boards of Change by FCB Chicago. And it's already picked up 12 lions, and it is only Tuesday.
Wow.
Very, very impressive. So let's take a look.
I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna die, man. You need to take a... I can't breathe without this. Please. I can't breathe.
Irony. These boards were on windows of storefronts because people knocked out the windows because they felt like they didn't have a voice.
And what are you going to leave us with today?
So I'm going to leave you on an uplifting note. So working in awards, the best part of the job is letting people know when they've won. And we're going to see Super Union now finding out that they won the Grand Prix in Design Lines yesterday for Nopla. Let's have a look.
when you're on a short list, you go into consideration for bronze or silver or gold. In the end, they didn't feel the work was bronze, silver, or gold. So that's that. However, they did decide that it's won the Grand Prix. Oh my God! Seriously, it won the Grand Prix in design.
I think it's fair to say they were genuinely shocked and delighted that they'd won.
They didn't know. It's an amazing reaction.
Isn't it just? And I hope we get some more of those recorded reactions during the week.
Yes, we will. We'll have some more.
And you'll be back?
I will be back,
Good.
yes.
Thank you, Susie. That was brilliant. I'll see you back here tomorrow to wrap up what's already looking like a very exciting day ahead.